When Darth Vader lost to Obi-Wan on Mustafar, he lost much more than just his limbs. He also lost his confidence, his grace, and was cut off from a lot of his Force abilities. Being put into the suit hurt Vader physically and mentally more than we think, as he was basically just moping around, depressed for over a month. He desperately needed to get his stride back, just get back to some semblance of who he was. And that happened in the battle that I'm going to go over with you today. It's important Vader took on a Jedi and was so confident he would beat the Jedi that at the end he even revealed that he was Anakin and revealed the Emperor was Sidious. It's bone chilling, honestly, and it's the first time we see the real Darth Vader that we see in Rogue One. We see fight Obi-Wan in the Kenobi show. Just, in Rebels, the menacing Vader that we all know. This is where he's really born. We see Vader on Mustafar. We see him in the Jedi Temple. We see him take out the Separatists. But then he's cut down, and then he's put in the suit. And the Vader in the suit that we all know emerges in the story that I'm going to tell you today. It's really fun. It's Vader arriving. Well, for the backstory, Vader is on Kashyyyk to find 6 Jedi Knights or Padawans that are hiding away on Kashyyyk. He arrived here, killed or maimed 4 of them, before a Jedi Master by the name of Rowan Shrine shows up. Vader engages the Master, and the battle, super cool to go through, so let's get into it. Enjoy. By the way, on vacation right now, trying to schedule a video for every day. We'll see if it happens, but if it doesn't, I might miss an upload day for the first time in forever. Heartbreaking. So, thanks for being part of the channel. If you are, subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and let's get into it. Vader fighting the 6 Jedi Knights or Padawans. Your skittish Padawan. Sweat dripped into her eyes. She tried to center herself in the Force, but at the same time, she was vaguely aware of a new sound in the air, cutting through the chaos of the battle below. And just then, a familiar ship slammed down on the tier alongside the crippled shuttle, 2 equally familiar figures leaping from the hatch, even while the ship was still in motion. At once, and seemingly of its own accord, the blood-smeared hilt of Master Forte's lightsaber shot from the balcony floor, whizzing past Vader's masked face, to snap into the hand of one of the figures and ignite. A gurgling sound issued from somewhere close to the newly arrived ship, and something metallic hit the floor and began to roll forward. His black cloak unfurling, Vader spun around to find the helmeted head of Commander Oppo coming to a rocky rest at his feet. A few meters away, Master Rowan Shrine stood with his legs spread to shoulder width, Forte's blue blade angled high and to one side alongside him, blasters in both 6-fingered hands. Archer was dropping every stormtrooper who approached. "Get away from him!" Shrine yelled at his Padawan Starstone. She gaped at him. "How did you—" "Philly was keeping us updated. Now move away. Hurry." Vader made no effort to prevent her from sinking past him. "Very touching, Shrine," he said after a moment. "Treating her like your personal learner." Shrine gestured broadly. "Oli, get the wounded into the dropship." Advancing on Vader, he said, "I'm the one you want, Vader, so here's your chance. Me for them." "Shrine, no!" Starstone started. "Take the wounded," he cut her off. "Jula's waiting." "I'm not leaving you." "I'll catch up with you when I'm done with Vader." And Vader looked from Shrine to Starstone. "Listen to your master, Padawan. He has already lost 2 learners. I'm certain he doesn't want to lose a 3rd. "I was rather fond of Commander Oppo," Vader said, towing the amputated head of the clone officer out of his path as he moved closer to Shrine. Shrine tightened his grip of the hilt of Forte's lightsaber and sidestepped cautiously to the left, forcing Vader to adjust his course. "I felt the same about my master that you killed." "Tell me, Shrine, are you the trap the others hoped to spring on me?" Shrine continued to circle Vader. "I wasn't even part of their plan. In fact, I tried to talk them out of doing something like this." "But in the end, you just couldn't stay away," Vader said, "even if it meant abandoning what might have been a lucrative career as a smuggler." "Losing Fang Czar was a blow to our reputation. You killed him too. I figured I'd better eliminate the competition." "Yes," Vader said, raising his blade somewhat. "I am your worst rival." Lightsaber grasped in both hands, Vader took a single forward step and performed a lightning-fast underhand sweep that almost knocked the lightsaber from Shrine's grip. Spinning, Shrine regained his balance and raced forward, feinting a diagonal slash from the left, then twisting the blade around to the right and surging forward. The blade might have gotten past Vader's guard, but instead it glanced off the back of his upraised left hand, smoke curling from his black glove. Shrine countered quickly with an upsweep to Vader's neck, but Vader spun to the right, his blade held straight out in front of him as he completed a circle, nearly cutting Shrine in half. Folding himself at the waist, Shrine skittered backwards, parrying a rapid series of curt but powerful slashes. Backflipping out of range, he twisted his body to the right, set the blade over his right shoulder, and rushed forward, hammering away. Vader deflected the blows without altering his stance or giving ground, but in the process left his lower trunk and legs unprotected. In a blink, Shrine dropped into a crouch and pivoted through a turn. For an instant, it seemed that the blade was going to pass clear through Vader's knees, but Vader leapt high, half twisting in midair and coming down behind Shrine. Shrine rolled as Vader's crimson shaft struck the floor at the spot that he just vacated. Scrambling to his feet, Shrine hurled himself forward, catching Vader in the right forearm. Snarling, Vader took his left hand from the lightsaber hilt to dampen sparking at the side of what should have been a wound. Astonishment eclipsed Shrine's follow-up attack. "I know you don't have a heart," he said, taking stalking steps, "but I didn't realize that you're all droid." Vader might have been about to reply when packets of blinding light speared through the balcony, opening holes 10 meters across. The great warshear shook as if struck by full force of a lightning storm, and branches and leaves rained down on what was left of the deck. With a loud splitting sound, a large section of the rim broke away, taking Vader's shuttle with it. "There goes your ride home," Shrine said when he could. "Guess you're stuck here with me." Vader was a good distance away, one hand and one knee pressed to the floor, his blade angled away from him. Slowly, he stood to his full height, leaves falling around him, black cloak flapping in the downdrafts. Then, with determined strides, he advanced on Shrine, sweeping his blade from side to side. "I wouldn't have it any other way," he said. Shrine took a quick look around. With most of the tier behind him blown away and gaping holes elsewhere, he began to back towards the hollowed trunk of the tree. "Almost seems like your own people are trying to kill you, Vader," he said. "Maybe they don't like the idea of a Sith influencing the Emperor." Vader continued his resolute march. "Trust me, Shrine, the Emperor couldn't be more pleased." Shrine cast a quick glance over his shoulder. They were entering an enormous interior space of wooden ramps, walkways, bridges, and concourses. "He doesn't have enough experience with your kind," Shrine said. "And you do?" Vader asked. "Enough to know that you'll turn on him eventually." Vader loosed what could have been a laugh. "What makes you think the Emperor won't turn on me first?" "Like he turned on the Jedi," Shrine said, "although I suspect that was mostly your doing." 5 meters away, Vader stopped short. "My doing?" "You convinced him that with you by his side, he could get away with just about anything," Shrine replied. Again, Vader let out what might have been a laugh. "It's thinking like that blinded the Jedi to their fate." He raised his sword. "Now, it's time for you to join them." Vader closed the distance between them in a heartbeat, slashing left and right with potent vertical strokes, narrowly missing Shrine time and again, but destroying everything touched by the blade. No whirling now, no windmilling or deft lunges. He simply used his bulk, used his size, to remain wedded to the floor. It was an old style, the very opposite of what was said to have been Dooku's style, and Shrine had no defense against it. If I could see his face, his eyes, Shrine found time to think. If he could knock that outsized helmet from Vader's head, if he could lance his lightsaber through the control panel on Vader's chest, that was the key. That was the reason for Vader's antique style, to protect his center, as Grievous had been forced to do. If he could just get to that control panel. Shrine's slashing strike to Vader's lower left leg, owing as much to luck as to skill, released another shower of sparks. Vader's enraged response was Shrine's only assurance that he was fighting a living being. Whatever had happened to Vader, by accident or volition, he had to be more flesh and blood than cyborg, or he wouldn't have raged, or been able to call on the Force with such intensity. High up in the smoke-filled room, they stood facing each other on a suspension bridge that linked two fully enclosed hallways, the gloom cut by shafts of explosive light from the continuing attack on the Kashyyyk. Shrine's determination to thrust his lightsaber into the control box Vader wore on his chest had forced the Sith to adopt a more defensive style that left his limbs vulnerable. Throughout the fight that had taken them up in the room's wooden ramps, Vader had kept his crimson blade straight out in front of him, manipulating it deftly with wrists only, elbows pressed tightly to his sides. Only when Shrine left him no choice did he shuffle his feet or leap. Artificial limbs and body armor seem a curious choice for a Sith, Shrine said, poised for Vader to his lucky strike. Belittling to the dark side, he said again. Vader adjusted his grip on the sword and advanced. No more than throwing in with smugglers denigrates the Force, Shrine. Ah, but I saw the light, Shrine said. Maybe it's time you did. You have it backward, Vader replied. Shrine was steeling himself for a lunging attack when, abruptly, Vader halted and withdrew the blade into the lightsaber's hilt. Before Shrine could begin to make sense of it, he heard a creaking sound from below, and something flew at him from one of the ramps. Only a last-instant turn of his sword kept the object from striking him in the head. It was a plank, ripped from a ramp they'd taken to the bridge. Shrine gazed in awe at unreadable Vader, then began to race toward him, blade held high over his right shoulder. He didn't make half the distance when a storm of similar planks and lengths of handrail came whirling at him. Vader was using his dark side abilities to dismantle the ramps. Surrendering to the guidance of the Force, Shrine swung his lightsaber in a flurry of maneuvers. Side to side, overhead, low down, behind his back, but the floorboards were coming in larger and larger pieces from all directions, faster than he could parry them. The butt end of a board struck him on the outer left thigh. The face of a wide plank slammed him from across the shoulders. Wooden pegs flew at his face. Others speared into his arms. Then a short support post hit him squarely in the forehead, knocking the wind out of him, dropping him to his knees. Blood running into his eyes, he fought to remain conscious, extending the lightsaber in one shaking hand while clamping the other on the bridge's handrail. 5 meters away, Vader stood, hands crossed in front of him, lightsaber hanging on his belt. Shrine tried to keep him in focus. Another board, whirling end over end, came out of nowhere, hitting him in the kidneys. Reflexively, the hand that was grasping the railing went to the small of his back and he lost balance. Trying but failing to catch himself, he fell through space. Given the wooden floor save his life, but at the expense of all the bones in his left arm and shoulder. Above him, Vader jumped from the bridge, dropping to the floor with a grace he'd never displayed before, and alighting just meters away. Ignoring the pain in his shattered limb, Shrine began to propel himself in a backward crawl toward the opening through which he and Vader had entered through the Warsher's trunk, a hot wind howling at him, whipping his long hair about. The balcony was gone. Fallen. There was nothing between Shrine and the ground but gritty air filled with burning leaves. Far below, Wookiees were being herded onto the landing platform. The forests were in flames. Vader approached, drawing and igniting his Sith blade. Shrine blinked blood from his eyes, lifted his lightsaber hand only to realize that he'd lost the sword during his fall. Slumping back, he loosed a ragged, resigned exhalation. "I owe you a debt," he told Vader. "It took you to bring me back to the Force. And you firm my faith in the power of the dark side, Master Shrine." Shrine swallowed hard. "Then tell me now, were you trained by Dooku? By Sidious?" And Vader came to a halt. "Not by Dooku. Not yet by Sidious." "Not yet," Shrine said, as if to himself. "Then you're his apprentice." His eyes darted right and left, searching for some means of escape. Is Sidious also in league with Emperor Palpatine? Vader fell silent for a moment, making up his mind about something. "Lord Sidious is the Emperor." Shrine gaped at Vader, trying to make sense of what he had just said. "The order to kill the Jedi." "Order 66, Vader said. "Sidious issued it." Pieces to the puzzle Shrine had been grappling with for weeks assembled themselves. The military buildup, the war itself. It was all part of a plan to eliminate the Jedi Order. Vader nodded. "All about this." He gestured to Shrine. "About you and me, one could say." Shrine's stomach convulsed, and he coughed blood. The fall hadn't only broken his bones, but ruptured a vital organ. He was dying. Backing further out the opening, he gazed into the night sky, then at Vader. Did Sidious turn you into the monstrosity you've become? No, Shrine, Vader said in a flat voice. I did this to myself, with some help from Obi-Wan Kenobi. Shrine stared. You knew Obi-Wan? Vader regarded him. Haven't you guessed by now? I was a Jedi for a time. Shrine let his bafflement show. You're one of the lost 20 Jedi. Like Dooku. I am the 21st, Master Shrine. Surely you've heard of Anakin Skywalker, the Chosen One. Shrine sprawled into the Warsher's cavernous opening, the wind tugging at his clothing, blood trickling from the corners of his mouth, clearly struggling with the revelation he'd been granted. Vader stood over him, his right hand resting on the hilt of the lightsaber, though he had no intention of drawing it from his belt again. One strong gust could topple Shrine to his final resting place. It is enough to let him die, knowing that the Order was betrayed by one of its own, thought Vader. More important, Vader's bloodlust had been appeased, replaced by self-possession of a sort he'd never before experienced. It was as if he had crossed some invisible threshold to a new world. He could feel the power of the dark side surging through him like an icy torrent. He felt invulnerable in a way that had nothing to do with his Durasteel prosthesis, his suit of armor and gadgets, which now seemed little more than an outfit, and it had taken a Jedi, yet another Jedi, to usher him over that threshold. He gazed down at Shrine, emblematic of the defeated Jedi Order, as Obi-Wan should have been. He recalled the way Dooku had gazed down on him on Geonosis, and the way Anakin had gazed down at Dooku in the General's quarters aboard the Invisible Hand. Someday, he would gaze down at Sidious in the same way, after he took an apprentice, perhaps. Someday, with the same rebellious spirit that Shrine demonstrated. Shrine coughed weakly. What are you waiting for, Skywalker? Strike me down. You're only killing a Jedi. Vader planted his fists on his hips. Then you do accept the truth. I accept that you and Palpatine are a perfect match, Shrine began, when without warning an immense explosion turned a small region of the western sky bright as day. Eclipsing stars, a rolling ball of fire blossomed high over Kashyyyk, expanding and expanding until the vacuum of space suffocated it. When Vader looked at Shrine again, the Jedi appeared to be grinning. Would that be one of your ships? Your interdictor cruiser, maybe? He coughed blood and a laugh. They've escaped you again, haven't they? If so, they will be found and killed, Vader replied. Shrine's expression suddenly changed, from smug to almost rapturous. I've seen this, he uttered mostly to himself. I envision this. Vader pressed closer to hear him. Your death, you mean. An explosion. Bright as a star, Shrine said. A forest world. Species defenders, escaping ships, and you, I think, somehow at the center of it all. His blood-stained lips formed themselves into a sublime smile, and a tear ran from his right eye. Skywalker, it won't matter if you find them. It won't matter if you find and kill every Jedi who survived Order 66. I understand now. The Force will never die. So that's the lightsaber battle that Vader won and kind of gained back his powers. Kind of, just was able to go through and regain part of who he was. And I find it really interesting. It's a long one if you stuck it out through this whole video. Props to you. Thanks. It's longer than some of my fan fictions. Jeez. Anyways, yeah, what do you think? Vader revealing that he's Anakin, that Palpatine is Sidious. I thought it was really interesting. Vader, there's a line in a little bit here where Vader's like, this battle gave him something to live for, knowing that eventually he might be powerful enough to take down Sidious. So, I thought it was fun. I thought it was really cool. Maybe the most important battle in Darth Vader's history. What'd you think? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and yeah, it was cool how he died, kind of being like the Force won't ever die, you can kill every Jedi. Said he had a vision almost of, I think, Endor exploding. Said he had a vision of an explosion bright as a star above a forest moon with some weird species, and Vader involved in it all, so that was the Death Star above Endor, I believe. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.